What is up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and today I'm going to be going over, what I'm going to be starting as my league starter and why I'm going to be starting it. It's pretty simple. I'm going to be going ice shot. There's a lot of reasons for that. I had been waiting, and I really haven't learned much more except that GGG is not keeping on schedule with what they normally do, which what they normally do is they release a full manifesto like a week out from the league. We're now 6 days out from the league, and we don't have that manifesto. Uh, so I'm creating the video now. I think it's safe to say that iShot will be my starter. I'm basically 100% sure that it will be my starter. Why am I saying basically? And that's because if they were to release something and be like, we are nerfing iShot, then I wouldn't be starting iShot. However, I don't think that that's going to happen. The reason why is because we can see the changes that they have made and the things that they've already said. They've said that they're not going to be doing major changes. The changes that they have announced to existing skills have been basically they're fixing stuff. Like with the Spectres, they said that they're going to be changing some minion stuff, and they basically just made it so that you're able to create Spectres of the new monsters that they've added to the game and old monsters that you weren't ever able to create Spectres of. They also made like some quality of life changes to desecrate and stuff like that. So basically, they just made improvements by making it so that stuff works better. So I don't see them nerfing Ice Shot. The other reason why I would say Ice Shot is really safe is because it wasn't that popular. It wasn't popular in the Bow League. And it wasn't popular in the beginning, it wasn't popular in the middle, and it wasn't popular in the end. There's hardly no people playing Deadeye, and of those people playing it throughout the league, not very many of them were ice shot. Kind of crazy to me because it was an amazing skill for the league, which is the reason why I'm going to be starting with it this next league, is because ice shot is going to be better this league than it was for last league. And I can say that with 100% confidence because the only thing that is changing this league, it's going to be basically the same league, except we have a new league on top of it, which is Delirium. What is Delirium? Delirium is basically a buffed up map. To make it really simple and put it in very layman terminology, it's just a buffed up map. That's what the league mechanic is. It's basically like you add buffs to a map. I mean, we have like these orbs, and we can open them up once we're inside of the map, and it buffs up the whole map, and we go into our delirium, and we can make it as hard as we want, up to the 5 orbs or whatever. So Ice Shot's able to do all the content. It's able to do all the content smoothly. If you played it this league, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For myself, I wound up playing iShot way more than I expected to. There's two reasons for that. One of them was because the build was just so strong and so much fun for me to play this league, because I have a lot of fun playing strong builds, that I found it hard to play other builds because I just I like playing really strong builds. I have more fun doing that. That being said, iShot for a bossing league being that strong, just think about how strong it's going to be in a league where the thing that it's best at is the main league mechanic, which is the delirium. Its best feature, although it's good at a lot of things, which is another reason why I'm going to be using it as a starter, because it's really good at blight maps. Blight maps are super profitable early league, like super profitable. As the league goes on, they become less profitable. The first day, a blight map is worth the most. And why is that? Because blight maps drop a lot of rare items. And in the beginning of the league, no one has anything. So all that stuff is useful. It's a good way to gear up. It gives you all the little currencies you need for, rolling stuff and all that good stuff. Um, it's also really good at the metamorphosis, especially for a character that is new and has nothing. Why is that? Because we can off-screen kill the metamorphosis bosses, which this is really important as a league starter, because when you're starting a league, you're trying to level up while you're trying to get gear. which puts you in a position where, Metamorphosis boss, if I'm playing a build that I have to be close to the Metamorphosis boss, I'm going to be constantly thinking, is it worth it for me to fight this Metamorphosis boss to try to get my loot and possibly die and lose my experience? With the Ice Shot build, I don't have that question. I just open it, get away from it, and shoot it from a range where I'm safe, and then it dies and I collect my loot, and I don't lose any XP. So that's actually a huge bonus. Um, and it's really easy for killing all the conquerors. Um, is it really easy to kill? Really easy to kill Sirius on Awakener 8? No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not the best build for doing that. Um, I did it, but it took some practice, and my build was really good. Um, so I don't see myself jumping in on Awakener 8 next season. I probably won't even try because I'm going to be focusing on doing the Delirium. However, being able to beat the Conquerors is something that's important, which it's really good at killing the Conquerors. It's really easy to kill the Conquerors once you know their fights with the build because, you just basically avoid the mechanics of the fight, drop down your turrets, and GG. So it will be able to quickly get up the Awakener level for the Delirium. It will be able to quickly advance through the maps. I know that it's going to be able to perform really well for the league, and that's what you want in a league starter. You want something that is going to be able to get through all of the content well, going to be able to do all of the content that's going to make you currency, and then is going to be really profitable for the league mechanic. It's literally like the perfect build in my eyes for this league. There are a couple other builds that I would say are viable, and there are a couple of other builds that I would be interested in playing pretty much equally. However, I wouldn't play them simply because I'm creating content. And the reason why I wouldn't play the other builds that I have in mind is because, in general, if 100 people were to play the other builds that I'm thinking of, a good portion of each one of those groups would not have very much fun because they would struggle at a lot of points. Because there's a lot of humps for gear as you're advancing that you have to hit that are going to be big cost investments. And if you haven't grinded a lot of gear and maximized everything throughout it or had a little bit of luck, you're going to struggle until you get that currency. Which that's the nice thing about the Ice Shot build. As you guys know, we do have unique options that are really strong, but you can also have a build that is entirely crafted items, which is another reason why this build is going to be even stronger in Delirium than it was in Metamorphosis. Why is that? Delirium is what GGG has said is going to be a high reward league. The last high reward league we had was Legion. It was historically the highest currency generating league for, if you were to take everyone that played the league and add up together their currency, it generated the most currency. They're saying this is going to be a high currency league. This could, in my mind, I'm thinking this league is probably going to be a higher currency generation league than Legion was. And why is that? Simply for the fact that you're going to be able to increase the difficulty or buff up the maps, multiple times, and then it's going to affect the entire map. For that reason, I think that Delirium is probably going to generate even more currency than any other league previous to it. I could be wrong, but I'm probably not. Why is that a big deal for this build? Why is that a big deal for any build that is built on crafted gear and not unique items? If the entire community is gaining increased amounts of currency, that does not mean that you have more buying power. If everyone, say, was making one currency and then they increase that so everyone's making 100 currency, no one's buying power has gone up because their currency has basically, it's like taking a dollar and then breaking it into a change. Like if everyone has $1 and they all change it into 100 pennies, has their buying power gone up anymore because they have 100 things instead of one? No. It's just like inflation. However, in PoE, our currency is our crafting resources. So if we have more crafting resources, it doesn't increase our buying power, but what it does increase is our crafting power. In a build where I can craft all of my gear, that's a huge advantage. Are there some gear pieces that are obviously really strong that we can look for? Yes, like the Arborix bow, or the Taming, or the Headhunter. These are all really good items, or the Perfect Form Zodiac. All things that I will more than likely wind up with this next season. I'll probably go for the Arborix just because trying to craft a bow that's better is, 100, 200 exalt investment. So realistically, going for that early is not very smart because I could wind up throwing away a ton of currency and having nothing. The Taming, it's just such a strong ring. I mean, it's a really good slot. Are there other things that I could craft that could take its slot? Yes. It's not required, it's just a really good slot. The Perfect Form Zodiac, is that what I'm using? No, I have a really crazy crafted chest. But the chest is going to be harder to craft than it is going to be for me to get a Perfect Form Zodiac. And until I get all of my gear really nice, the Zodiac is just so strong that it's probably going to be what I go for as a chest. But if it's crazy expensive, am I going to go for it? No, I'm just going to craft a chest because if it costs more than what I can craft a chest for, if I can make a tier 1% crit 6-link chest for the cost of buying a Perfect Form Zodiac, then I'll just focus on getting more defense in my other items. That's the nice thing about the Ice Shot build is there's a lot of versatility in it. So if one thing is super expensive, you can just do something else. There's also a lot of other things that you can go for. I've covered most of this stuff, but the helm, the belt, the gloves, we can all fossil craft these. And the fossils we need are the cheapest fossils in the game. We need frigid fossils, and we need, well, the frigid fossil is the main one we need for all three of them. Then we can also use the pristine fossil on the lion's pelt. This can basically be an endgame item for you. Depending on how much you wind up investing in your gear, you might want to going for like the shocking conflicts helm, which in that case, this would be kind of a stepping place for you. But, as my bad luck happened, I never got the exact shocking conflicts helm that I wanted. I got it one stat off, and, I was kind of really bummed about that. But that's a hard craft item. This is a really easy to craft item, and it's cheap to craft. And if you're struggling for currency and you need a helm, belt, gloves to advance, you can just go into Delve. Even if you can't afford your resonators, you can just go farm the resonators and get a little bit of fossils and some resonators and try to craft those items. Also, we can go for a 6-link. If you're having trouble getting a 6-link, you can start target farming maps that drop the 6-link bows. The Imperial Legacy is going to be the better one because it drops an Imperial bow, which is the highest tier bow. It has a 1.45 attack speed. It has the implicit elemental damage. It's a lot better bow. It also gives it to you at a level 100, meaning that you can roll any stats on it. So this is going to be the better one to go for. This one's easier because you only need 6 of them. But it's also going to be item level 50, meaning you can't roll all of the top tier mods. And it's on a short bow base. It's more of a caster item. However, you could still make it decent by adding, by taking and using essences. But you can do the same thing with essences to the Imperial bow. Obviously, one's going to be better than the other, but we have a few different essences we can go with. Where's cold? And this. Okay, so we have sorrow, which gives us cold penetration. We have hatred, which gives us number to number cold damage. And we have contempt, which gives us physical damage. We also have the Essence of Dread, which the Essence of Dread you only want to go for Shrieking. The reason why Shrieking is because you don't want to be spending the extra costs to have the highest tier one because it doesn't upgrade the plus to gem level. This is just a good option to spam a few onto if you get a 6-link to get something that's good enough to keep you going. However, we also have some other cheaper bow options. If you can't afford the Arborix, you can also go for the Lionized Glare is a really cheap one. Um, this was one that I used early in the league because it cost me like 5 or 10 chaos, like really early, and it just wasn't worth it even trying to craft an item that cheap. I think I got it like like five like 5 socket or something like that, and I just used it for a little while, so I got enough currency to buy an Arborix. So there's a few options to work towards your weapons, some upgrade paths for these. Another thing that I'd suggest is, some of the items that we're going to be using are going to be influence. Since the chest that I normally go for, if I go for the crafted chest, it's going to be the Elder. We have a few things that we can go for those. So I would suggest saving Elder Scarabs and Shaper Scarabs until you can get item level 83 base for the chest and at least item level 80 for your quiver. So on the quiver you need Shaper at least item level 80, but 83 makes it so that you can get all the highest tier mods. However, the extra arrow for the Shaper is at level 80 for it, and all the other mods besides tier 1 onslaught are all achievable at level 80. So you could do the Shaper ones on maps that can drop item level 80, but for the Elder you're gonna want to wait for an item level 84 being possible to drop. So I would save these till you get to a little bit higher tier maps so you can get higher tier drops. Um, or you can just look on the market to try and buy a cheap base if someone sells those. Historically, the bases are a little bit more expensive early league since they're a lot easier to get. After a very short amount of time, it should be pretty cheap to buy just a crappy spike point that's item level 83 and a crappy assassin's garb or zodiac that is just elder. Anyways, those are some suggestions for the build. You have the reasons why I'm going to be going this. I will be doing updates as the league goes on, like I did last league, kind of show you guys the direction that I'm taking. You guys can look at the old progression videos and kind of see some of the things that I did last league as I was moving in until I got to a place where it's like, this is pretty much a finished product. You can do everything with this. And then, obviously we move into those bigger upgrades, which, I'm probably going to do a little bit different stuff. Well, I will be doing different stuff this league with my final build. Um, Partially because we are going to have the extra jewel clusters that are getting added. So the skill tree is going to wind up looking different once you get to that point where you're adding jewel clusters, which I will cover that as I'm going into that, or once I get into a more completed state so you guys can see what it is that I wind up doing with it. But you have a good base place to go, and you can look back and get yourself gear ideas on what to look for. If you have any more questions, oh, one other thing. In the early videos of the previous league, I never suggested the Dying Sun, and there was a reason why. This league, the Dying Sun was like 20 exalts over 20 exalts the first week. And then even towards the end of the second week, they were still like 10 exalts. And I'm not going to suggest when I'm trying to give people cheap options to make a build. I'm not going to be like, hey, you should go out and spend more than I suggested on this entire build on a flask, and you need that. Um, that's why I didn't suggest it in the early videos, just because uh, the value that it gives to the build is not didn't warrant the cost, and I mean just plain and simple. However, this league, it should be much more accessible, much quicker for the general population. First of all, we're not going to have as many people starting bow builds. Plain and simple, there won't be as many starting bow builds this league as they did last league. The other thing is they added divination cards that reward you with Dying Sun. It only takes 3 of them. So Dying Sun, there'll be more of them coming into the game, and there's going to be less people that are wanting them. There are still going to be people that want them because bow builds aren't the only builds that use projectiles and increased area of effect. So it's not going to completely, it's not going to be as big of a chop down as like you'd think, because there's going to be a lot of cock builds. The cast on crit, like those have been popular for several leagues, and popular builds don't stop being popular until like GGG like physically kills them. Like that's the only way popular builds die is with the hammer of death from GGG. If they didn't do that, the same popular build would play for all of its existence. There'd be nothing new ever. Anyways, thanks for watching. I will be trying to get out regular content. I do want to say my regular streaming is not going to be resuming the first 2 Fridays. I'm having dental surgery the Thursday before the league launch, and then the next Thursday, I'm having dental surgery again. And my guess is that I'm probably not going to, even if I'm playing, I'm probably not going to be like talking very well. I'll probably be like swollen and and so I'm probably not going to want to be on camera, and it probably wouldn't be enjoyable to watch me be. So I'm not gonna say that I'll be streaming the first what 8 days, but then will be doing some more streaming this next league. There were a lot of people who wanted me to stream more, so I will give it a try this league. I'll probably add another day to the regular streaming league. I had wanted to stream the beginning of the league because I wanted to focus more on playing, so I was just going to stream and more not really do like the question answering thing, but just let people watch. I will be doing that, um, but it's probably not going to be in the very first beginning because I'm going to be, um, yeah, recovering from surgery. So there's that. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm super stoked about this. I'm super stoked about this league. I had a ton of fun with it last season doing the YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm excited for YouTube season 2. Delirium. All right, peace out, guys and gals.